Howdy, howdy. Suitable here. This is episode 3 of our Dwarf online ladder battle series, where we try to take what we've learned in my essential unit series and apply it to the battlefield. Now, even though this is the third in the series, it's actually the first battle I ever recorded, and I think I did feature it in one of my essential units as just background footage, but I thought I'd review the battle. There's a few key things, a few key mistakes I made in this battle that were pretty critical, and it could have been very costly. I'll go over my army first. Of course, I have 2 gyrocopters with brimstone guns, and I'll start putting them to good use right away. On my front line, this is where I was trying something different. I have 2 units of dwarf warriors on my right flank and 2 units of longbeards on my left flank. I was trying to use a technique that Prince of Macedon talks about, in that you try and maintain one flank as your anchor and then wrap around your troops and roll up the other flank to win the battle, which I try to do, but again made some pretty big mistakes. On the sides, my Hodors are dwarf warriors. Again, they're just meant to hold the line to allow my my other units to go to work. 1 unit of Thunders. These are going to be on anti-lord duty. A unit of cannon to take out whatever. Cannons are fantastic. They're really strong. And 1 unit of Quarrelers, which are excellent against the orcs in general. A unit of hammers. These are going to be the unit that tries to roll up this flank, and a unit of miners, just because I had some spare change. Now, he has 2 units of wolf riders way over here. He's going to try and bring in flank again. These are very cost-effective units, have great harass, and can be awesome. He has Azeg the Slaughter on a flying mount, and again already I'm splitting up my gyrocopters to kite him with one and go to work with the other. He has a number of orc boys, 4 orc boys in this front line. These are just they're reasonable infantry. They're not super strong. The real meat of his army are these 2 units of black orcs, 1 on each flank, and this giant. They're the ones that are going to do the damage. And he has 3 units of savage orcs, and these guys can be very good against the dwarfs if they're used correctly. And 1 unit of trolls. Again, a unit that is, I think, very difficult to use effectively, but can be effective. And finally, a unit of doom diver catapults. And again, in this battle, he doesn't really bring anything to defend these doom divers, so they're really vulnerable. So I want to get my units to them right away. He's firing on my gyrocopters, and this is kind of one of the other advantages of gyrocopters. I just go through and do a quick bombing run, try and get rid of all my bombs as fast as I can. But you can see he's trying to attack my gyrocopters, so it's going to take them even longer to get up to the front line if he continues that. He's going to work that out and try and take him to the front line, but as soon as Azeg is after him, I think Azeg is 100 speed. These guys are 110, so they're going to be able to kite him all day long. My other gyros come in, and they're going to start going to work on these doom divers. My goal is to take the doom divers out of the battle right away. These are top tier artillery. They might be the best in the game even after the nerf. They're very good. And I'll get my cannon shooting right away. And here's the first critical mistake that I made. I wanted to take out these black orcs, or weaken them, so that what I could do was, if I weakened this side of his line, I wanted to wrap up on this side. So that was my thinking on this, and I think it was a really poor choice. I should have had those cannons on his giant all the way in, and then put my quarrelers on his giant. His giant does pretty well in this battle, and could have cost me the game. Anyways, I'll fast forward it a bit. I'm trying to get a little bit of harass on this giant, and now again taking Azeg out of the game. He's not casting any spells. He's chasing off gyrocopters. So this one's shooting here, and this one's just going to go to work and finish off these doom diver catapults. And now I'm going to try and kite Azeg over to my missile units. And again, you can see my idea was to go after these this side of his line. I should have put my Thane out front to engage some units. Again, another big mistake. I'm not using him right away. He brings in his Azag here to try and go to work, and immediately I'll turn my Thunderers to start attacking him. And I think, what is he casting here? Well, that's me. So I've cast the 44% damage resistance. I want to really reduce that incoming damage, the initial damage, and he's now got his wall going. He wants to collapse this side of my line, and I want to go after this one. Again, you see I haven't used my Thane at all, but I do have my Thunderers shooting at Azag. I'm also going to continue to go to work with the Gyrocopter on this side, and now I'm bringing around my hammers to try and finish off these Black Orcs quickly. I have routed these guys, and we'll go up here as fast as we can. The miners are watching the back line, and he has gotten into my artillery. I do never get them back online, but look at this giant. Still full health, going to work, killing everything. My Longbeards are holding just fine on this side. I finally get my Thane into action, and I'm slowly rolling this up. But this giant, again, it just... Oh, I think I got my cannon back online. No, they're in melee. So, I've chased off his Doom Divers. They're gone. I'm starting to bring back my Gyros right now. The Thunders are continuing to go to work against his Lord, and my Quarrelers, he's done a good job on now. As soon as he gets up in the air, these Thunders are going to get some shots. He is going to come back. He's going to notice that, but he's already down to half health. He's getting hurt, and he's going to continue to really take it. So I pulled off a unit of Dwarf Warriors off this side of my line to try and reinforce over here. He comes in with his Lord to come after these Thunders that are making short work of him. And I bring my Thane over. I'm just trying to get some damage on him as quickly as he can, but you can see his morale is going fast. I put Foe Seeker, or no, he put Foe Seeker on. But you can see I've got the damage in. I'm gonna get him routing, and this side of my line is holding, but this side is just by a thread. I even threw my Runesmith into battle here to try and hold, and I've got Thorgrim over there trying to hold. I finally routed him. I'm going to keep taking shots. I'm going to chase him off with my Gyrocopters, and you can see now all his units are starting to collapse at this point, and I think I cast my 44% damage mitigation, though I didn't really need it. But you can see here his giant is still, there he is, he's still on half health, and he absolutely demolished me. And this was just a huge mistake. I really misused my cannons, really misused my Thane in the beginning, and it almost cost me. Like, this guy was really doing some work in my back line. So I finally got everything routing there, did manage to win the battle, but it was by no means by skill. It was by luck alone, because his plan, our plans were asymmetrical. I was trying to take this side of the line, didn't really do a good job of microing over here. I was coming up, but it didn't go as fast as I wanted, and he overloaded this side of my line, and his giant was extremely effective. Had I been on this giant with my cannons the entire way in, and the Quarrelers on the way in, and backed my Quarrelers up, I think I could have changed this side of the line pretty significantly and got him routing really quickly, and would have had a much cleaner victory. I did get these Gyrocopters back in the end. They really did their purpose. An 800 gold unit took out a 900 gold unit in those Doom Divers. And those Doom Divers, if you let them fire on especially the Dwarfs, who have very tightly packed units, they're guided, they're really going to do some work. So we'll go and look at the stats here at the end. Dwarf Warriors, I've really gone away from using them with it, except as Hodors. They're so weak, even with the buffs on them, and they can hold the line for a while, but they're really not going to do a whole lot of damage. I mean, these guys did okay, but they're most likely against the Orc boys or the Savage Orcs, and otherwise it just didn't do as much as they needed to. Now, yeah, my cannon did pretty good. He was shooting down Black Orcs, and that did help the right side of my line, but this giant was just wrecking my whole left flank, and I could have taken him out of the game. I could have probably, had I focused down the giant, had him end up with 15 or fewer kills. I've done that with Arachnaroks in one of my previous battles, and there was 2 of them, so we might even have been able to rout him before he even got there, and that would have been a huge impact on the rest of the battle. Now, my miners, they're just there for support, and look at my Thane, just totally mismanaged him. I really got to work on how I use my Thane, and it's, for some reason, I find it easy to forget. Thorgrim did okay. He's hard to hit. It's got good melee defense and good armor, and he's the reason the left side of my line held at all. And I did throw my Runesmith over there out of desperation because I didn't want it to collapse completely. Both my gyrocopters, I mean, they got a reasonable amount of kills. They were able to get off their bombs and completely rout that Doom Diver. And Thunders, only 3 kills, but their only duty in this battle was to take down Azag, and once they got some clear shots on him, you can see how fast it went. Hammers, only 49 kills. I don't think I used them very well, but also if you've watched any of my other videos, I think I can replace them with Longbeards with great weapons, and for 750 as opposed to 1200 gold, get those kind of numbers for sure, and bolster up other parts of my army. Now, Azag did a pretty good job helping collapse the left side of my line, got a lot of kills, but he put him in harm's way, and he really paid the price once my Thunderers got to go to work on him. And these Orc boys, I mean, they're just fodder units. They're like the Dwarf warriors. I think if you're in an attacking game, maybe they don't have as much value. Like Orc boy big guns are really strong, whereas the Orc boys are generally pretty weak. These Savage Orcs can do really well, especially if they're engaging against dwarfs that are exhausted, because when you're exhausted, you lose. You only have 68 or 65% of your melee defense, and you only make use of 65% of your armor. So if you hold these guys back in reserve and then go after armored units, they can be absolutely devastating. Now, the Black Orcs didn't do great. These are the units that I was focused on, and yeah, they didn't do great, but again, it was a giant mistake, pun intended, not focusing on the giant. The Goblin Wolf Riders did really well, like 43 kills. That is super effective for a unit of this cost, and they took out my Quarrelers and didn't allow them to do anything, and they were into my cannon, and they just did a fantastic job. They're such a good unit, and they're so fast. They kind of come right up on you as you're microing or looking at something else. They can surprise you. These trolls, obviously you rank them up beforehand, and maybe to try and give them a little bit more leadership so they wouldn't rout so easily, but these guys have to do better to make good use of them. And they might be, against some other factions, they might be a little bit better. Against the Dwarfs, who are going to have Quarrelers against you, and a lot of times going to have Slayers as well, they can be a poor choice. And some more Orc boys. I don't know why these guys weren't up here. But anyways, a close victory, despite some really big mistakes on my part. I hope you found that interesting, and I will see you later.